Right. I'm very much, very excited for the FA Cup final. The fact that it's two giants of the beautiful game. We talk about Manchester City as well as Manchester United, red versus blue, once again, and this is for a second consecutive time. Remember, these two sides did meet in last season's FA Cup final. Obviously, City edging that one by 2-1, and actually that led to them actually claiming the historic treble, right? And what I can say is that maybe stakes will be different in this one because Manchester United do need this one. They need to win more than Man City, right? Because Man United season is actually on the line. In order for Manchester United to secure European football, they are actually required to win the FA Cup, right? Or if Ten Hag is also to save his job at Old Trafford, it's actually a requirement for the red half of Manchester to actually win this one. So before we actually get into it, I just want us to get straight into it, right? Welcome once again to Football is a Religion. It's your boy Pube Simpatium Klaba. I'm your host, and please welcome. Let's grow this, beautiful community together, man. Let's grow it. So it is actually a repeat of last year's FA Cup final, right? So Manchester City, they beat Manchester United by 2-1 to complete the second part of their treble, and it's the second time in FA Cup history the same fixture has been played in the final in consecutive years, following Blackburn Rovers vs Queen's Park Rangers in 1984 as well as 1985, right? So City, coming into this one, City have won both Premier League meetings against Manchester United this season, beating them 3-0 at Old Trafford as well as 3-1 at the Etihad. The last time they actually beat their neighbors 3 times in the same campaign was all the way in 1969 and the 1970 season. So that's pretty much a long time, and if that actually happened, that'll actually be historic. Remember, even in the El Clasico, that fierce rivalry between FC Barcelona as well as Real Madrid. Real Madrid defeated Barcelona 3 times, in one season for the first time in 88 years. So basically, City can actually achieve the same feat, but it's actually pretty much less than 88 years. So this particular encounter, will be actually played at Wembley Stadium, and it will be at 3 p.m. kickoff, the UK time as well as South African time. Bear in mind, Manchester United have only lost 6 of their last 7 meetings with Manchester City in all competitions, including each of their last 3 in a row. They lost 4 consecutively against them between 2013 as well as 2014? Yeah. That was the win. That was post Sir Alex Ferguson's time, right? So the last time Manchester United, remember when they won the Premier League, was in the 2012-2013 season, and that was the last season of Sir Alex Ferguson. And from that point onwards, we then saw City dominance in this particular fixture. Pep Guardiola's charges, they could basically complete the league title and FA Cup double for the 3rd time, something only previously achieved by Manchester United. So it's like Manchester City are out to actually break Manchester United records. Remember, Manchester United did actually achieve this feat in the 1993-1994 season, 95-96, as well as the 98-99 season. Arsenal did also achieve this feat as well before, which was in the 1970-71 season, 97-98 season as far as I can remember, as well as the 2001-2002 season, And the Citizens did so in 2018-2019 as well as last season, and thus it could actually become the first ever team to do so in consecutive campaigns, So that's another record to be broken by Pep Guardiola's charges. They seem just to be breaking records every single year. And that's exactly what Pep Guardiola has done with this Manchester City team. It's remarkable. It's just astonishing, to say the least. United actually finished 8th in the Premier League this season, the lowest ranked side to play in the FA Cup final since Arsenal beat Chelsea 2-1 in 2020. That was basically 4 years ago, right? And that was also another derby, red versus blue of London. And now this one is also red versus blue of Manchester. There have been 6 previous occasions of a side finishing 8th or lower facing that season's champions in the showpiece. Aston Villa were 10th when they beat Manchester United 2-1 in 1957. And again, but since then, such sides have lost all 5 finals by an aggregate score of 15-0, And when I look at Manchester United basically, they're looking to win the FA Cup for the 13th time in a row, right? No, not in a row, for the 13th time in their history. They already have got 12 FA Cup titles. Arsenal are the most successful, team in the FA Cup history, right? So Manchester United will be aiming to win 13, while Arsenal already have 14 and they've won it more, right, than any other side. However, the Red Devils have actually failed to win the trophy in 4 of their last 5 final appearances, with the exception coming in 2016 against Crystal Palace under Louis van Gaal. That actually led to his departure. I mean, I'm actually suggesting the fact that even if Ten Hag was to win the FA Cup, he might be facing the sacking, just like his fellow compatriot Louis van Gaal. What a story that could actually become. Imagine 2 Dutch coaches, departing Manchester United in similar fashion by winning the FA Cup, and then that's how you depart. And then Manchester United, basically, they've lost 19 games and they've conceded 84 goals in all competitions this season. They lost 20 in a campaign, in, I guess that was like the 1973-1974 season. That was like 22. And they last conceded more than 84, in the 1963-1964 season, which they almost conceded 90 goals. It was almost 90 goals that they conceded. So it tells you that, Manchester United, really, their defensive record this season has been very sloppy, very poor, very dismal, to say the least. That's what gives Manchester City the upper hand. And Manchester United coming into this one, they came into this one after that embarrassing, shootout against, the championship side Coventry City, who were actually robbed the goal. They could have actually won the game. It should have been Manchester City versus Coventry City, the final. But I guess, it happens. Mistakes from officials, it quite happens often at, big games. So Manchester United can just count their blessings, count themselves fortunate that they actually made it this far, right? After that embarrassing showing against Coventry City, blowing up a 3-goal lead and actually winning via penalty shootout against the championship side when you're like the Red Devils. That's like, typically unacceptable, considering the team of Manchester United standards. You don't expect that from them. And another thing, City have won each of their last 11 matches in the FA Cup. Excluding, the Bayern void games. There have only been 2 longer winning runs in the competition's history. Blackburn Rovers achieved this in the 1983 as well as in 1986. They achieved it 20, And Chelsea, they achieved a winning run of 13 between 2009 as well as 2011. So that is incredible, man. That's just an incredible feat, United also, they beat Liverpool 4-3 in the FA Cup quarterfinals and drew 3-3 with Coventry City in the semi-finals. The Red Devils had only conceded 3 goals, 3 or plus goals in 2 of their previous 111 matches in the competition combined, while they've never done so in 3 consecutive games. With City boss Pep Guardiola and United's Erik ten Hag meeting showpiece last year, this is the first time a pair of league managers have gone head-to-head in more than 1 FA Cup final, excluding replays. Basically, there's a bit of a rivalry between those ones, but, we know who has the upper hand in this rivalry. Obviously, the magician, the tactician, the master of the touchline, Pep Guardiola. You look at Manchester City, Phil Foden. He has actually been involved in more than 10 goals in his last 9 appearances in all competition. And he has actually scored 9 and he has actually assisted 1. He's also netted 6 goals in his last 5 games against Manchester United, while only against Brighton, where it was 8. And he has actually scored more career goals than 6 against the Red Devils. So that's an incredible record that he has actually set, has Phil Foden. For me, I know that there's always this debate between Haaland as well as Mbappe. But for me, to say the least, Foden should be entering the chat of players that actually have the potential to actually win the Ballon d'Or, in the upcoming years or so. Foden, maybe Lautaro Martinez, Jamal Musiala, perhaps Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo. Those are pretty much some of the players that, I fancy to actually win the Ballon d'Or in the upcoming years. So you just can never underestimate anybody, right? And it's not between Mbappe and Haaland. Yeah, I understand, they are goal scorers. They've been prolific in the previous seasons or so. But this is the generation whereby it's not going to be about two players specifically. That Messi and Ronaldo era has come and gone. And I don't see any generation being able to emulate what Messi and the standards that Messi and Ronaldo have been able to set. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Maybe in the next decade, perhaps in the next 2 decades or 3 decades, or maybe in the next century. Because Messi and Ronaldo have just set the standard high. They've just set the bar too high. That, you look at the stats, the numbers that some of these players are actually achieving. It's like, you just get reminded of Messi. Messi scored 71 goals in all competitions in the 2011-2012 season. Went on to even score 91 goals in one calendar year. One calendar year. So it took, how long did it actually take for him to break the record of Gerd Müller, set by Gerd Müller? Remember, Gerd Müller scored 85 goals in a calendar year. Now Messi has gone on to actually defeat that record. So, and it took long. It took very long. You understand? So perhaps maybe in the next decade or the next 2 decades, we will see a rivalry of this kind of, significance, but it won't be anytime soon. And it's definitely not between Mbappe and Haaland. Speaking of Haaland obviously is the top goal scorer, Premier League goal scorer, in all. He's the top scorer, in Premier League player in all competitions this season with 38 goals. So you remember last season he netted 52 goals last season and could become the first Premier League player to score 40 plus goals in consecutive campaigns. Whoa, Haaland. If it wasn't for injury, perhaps he could actually score a brace, man. I hope he scores a brace though. Whew, that would be incredible, man. I just hope Haaland scores a brace in this, final. Whereas Bruno Fernandes scored for Manchester United in last season's final. He could actually become the 5th Manchester United player to score in the showpiece in 2 different years. Just like Brian Robson, Norman Whiteside, as well as Mark Hughes, as well as Eric Cantona. Right? Those are Man United legends, ladies and gentlemen. Those are Manchester United legends. And then Kevin De Bruyne, KDB. I'm talking about key players. KDB has assisted 3 goals in FA Cup finals. He set up Gabriel Jesus in 2019, both of Ilkay Gundogan's strikes last season. No player on record since 1962 has provided more assists in FA Cup finals than the Belgian. Olivier Giroud also has 3. A striker. You understand? Remember, Giroud's contract just came to an end with the Rossoneri AC Milan, and he will be actually setting his sights on the MLS. He's going to be joining Los Angeles, next season. Whereas Marcus Rashford has scored 6 goals for Manchester United against City in all competitions. He has only netted more against Leicester City, 8, and he's got 7 against Liverpool. 4 of his 6 goals against the Citizens have put Manchester United ahead in the match. So, what can I say, man? This is the particular game where, I won't underestimate anybody, and I don't want to underestimate Manchester United. So I think Manchester United, they do have the talent and the character to win. It's just a matter of, do these players want it more? It's all about the hunger. It's just all about hunger, right? What Manchester United, the positive that they can take is the fact that they've won this competition 12 times, So they are only it's only Arsenal that are ahead of them in terms of winning this tournament. Arsenal have won it 14 times. Manchester United have won it 12 times. So Manchester United, the Red Devils, can actually take a positive out of that.